probably need to turn this on. Okay. So, and there's going to be a little bit of a delay too. So I announced that there was going to be a little bit of, well, I announced this was going to be like starting around 6:30, 6:32 currently, and one of our peoples that we're talking to is having some technical difficulties, so we have to wait a second till he gets on to get started. Let's see here. He's what's he up to on Facebook? Cool, someone can hear me. Aha. Okay, where is Jamie? Jamie, we need you now. Jason Rutherford is typing. Yes, and I will type back. And I do not want to turn on the video chat. Ah, there he is. He's on now. Somehow. Okay, well, we're going to actually turn the video part call on. Going to try the video call. Alright, here we go. I'm going to attempt to do the call. Wow, that's loud. Hello. Okay, I'm looking at the videos. Do I see? Let's see here. Okay, I see Jeremy. I do not see. I see. There we are. Why don't I see me? I need to see me. There is no me here. Where is that? I don't see that. There should be a little bit. I'm not seeing this. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. There's a little bit. Wait, that shows Jason. Why is that showing Jason? Yeah, that's what I mean. On the bottom is you. I don't get that. Yeah, that is odd. Yeah, all I'm is clicking on is you guys. Wait a minute, maybe I need to be part of this conversation. I don't know. Wait, let me see. Hold on a second. I probably fuddled everything. No, I'm joined too. Okay, but I can't see me on my screen. That's the thing. That's That's the important thing. People need to see my face, darn it. I don't know. Because usually, in like a single chat, my face will pop up on another screen. And I don't see that. Can you guys hear me? Okay. I suppose it doesn't matter too much. Okay, always technical difficulties. Always difficulties. Okay. Hold on a second. Babe, can you hear them both talking? No? Okay. Alright, so hold on a second, guys, because no one else can hear you on the live stream, so I'm gonna see what's going on here. Probably that. Okay, you guys, just talk again, and let's see if we can get this straightened out. Go ahead.
Okay. I can just keep blah 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 blah. I don't know. I'm gonna upload a screenshot here where that button should be, and you can see if you can see that button. I mean, maybe Twitch and Skype are fighting and beating the crap out of each other. That can happen.
Yeah, like maybe a lag issue.
Possibly, but possibly it was just because I had a certain sound thing off, which I'll turn them both off when I do the countdown video in a second. So no one can hear both of us, but how about now?
I can hear Jason well, but
Okay.
Jeremy, like a very far away.
Okay, that's fine. As long as you can hear both audio. Okay.
But I can also hear
Okay. So Jeremy, I guess you're gonna have to speak louder because what my sound assistant, aka wonderful wife, is saying is that Jason sounds fine. You sound a little bit far away though.
Yeah,
I just dropped an image in the chat there, Ryan. You can see where I highlighted where the button's at.
Okay, but what button should I be pushing?
The one that's circled in giant red there. Look on the image that I sent in the chat there, and I circled a button in a giant red circle. That's the one that you click to enable your video.
A button in a giant red circle. I'm not seeing
See the
this.
screenshot?
Yeah, I see it.
Open it up,
I'm opening.
and then at the bottom there's 4 little buttons there next to my picture, and I circled one in a giant red circle.
Is there any video of me right now?
No.
Okay, that might be the issue then. It shows my video is going. I mean, okay. Wait a second. And that button I can't hit. It's not letting me hit.
It's not letting you hit, so is it like grayed out or something?
Yeah, basically.
Is Twitch using your video camera?
Oh, yeah.
You probably got to go into Twitch and remove your video camera as a source from your Twitch settings, and that may free up the video camera for Skype to use, since you're probably only going to be showing the Skype window the whole time, right?
Pretty much, yeah. So how am I going to do that?
Go into OBS. You probably have to shut down the Twitch stream. Go into OBS. You know, go. Oh, that's wrong. That's my music player. You go into OBS, and then in your sources, just remove your video camera from that list altogether. You know?
Video capture device, you mean?
Yes, video capture device.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
And here, let me hang this up and let's try and call again. Okay.
Okay, that'll work.
All right. Hold on a second. All right, we're gonna try this again. Boop. All right, I see my video. There is me. Looking good. Looking good. How is
Okay,
that?
I can
Okay.
see me.
And Jeremy's taking a selfie.
That's what it looks like. In a bathroom too. Wait, is it a living room?
yeah. You don't have a lot of stuff.
Okay. Awesome.
Okay. No, your picture. No, I said your Skype picture. Looks like
Oh,
you're in a
yeah.
bathroom.
It is, yeah.
Okay. Okay. Yeah.
So, at this moment, I'm going to turn our sound off, and I'm going to get started with a countdown video to get this Twitch stream started, okay?
How long do we got?
5 minutes.
Okay, good.
Yep. So let me just get that started, and then everybody who could be watching on Twitch or whatever, we just give us 5 minutes, and we'll be good to go with this live stream.
Gimp, Toothpick. You two scout out the area. Give a whistle if the area is clear.
Lieutenant Dan, there was something I forgot to mention. Something that happened right after I landed from the drop.
Out with it, Henderson.
I nearly ran into a couple of Morrow squads before finding you guys. Those squads marched in the opposite direction of us, but I would not be surprised if there were more in the area.
Let me do the thinking, Henderson. Just because you ran into a squad or two does not mean there are one or two in the area. Right, it means there are several more in the area.
Toothpick! If you can hear me, it's time for you to use your grenades!
Grenades? Yay! I can use my grenades now. Sir, I ran out of grenades.
Use your guns, boys! Gotta keep giving it to them!
I seem to remember, Lieutenant Dan, that you mentioned to Toothpick something about facing a Morrow firing squad?
I take it back!
Really? All of this over a stinking glyph?
Oh, right. I still got that. Would it help, sir?
It could, but we really need a shield. Oh well. That's that. Nice knowing you guys.
I was told you four sent out a distress signal. I hope I am not too late.
There she is, my goal.
No time talking, Toothpick! Fight now! Talk later!
Here's my last grenade. Make it count.
To do that all over again because I forgot to turn. I forgot to switch the audios on.
Oops.
That might be a good thing to do. Yeah. Okay. Losing my audience, which, let's see. Let me check a second. Ooh, an audience of 4. What do you know?
Hey,
Okay.
that's actually pretty good.
Not too bad for like
My
this
record's 9 at the moment.
being the second time that I've done this. Well, actually, no.
More the time.
Fourth time doing this. The first 2 times I messed up terribly, and I'm just like, okay, I'm erasing everything. And then the third time was a successful test, which was last night, which you can see on Twitch. There's a little introductory video there of me jabbering away about what this is all about. But this is the 4th time, and tonight we are talking about Tales of Valhalla: The Aftermath Chronicles, which is a YouTube series. All you have to do is go on YouTube, in the search bar, type Tales of Valhalla, and you can watch the first season as well as extra behind-the-scenes things on there. And tonight we're going to discuss about Season 2 and 3. And you saw a little bit of, if you watched some of the preview countdown stuff earlier, that was the Airborne Elite fighting the Morrow, and that is in Season 1. But we're not going to talk about that. We're going to talk about Season 2 and 3. And with me tonight, I have Jeremy Unit, and he is basically my source of information when it comes to Heroscape. That's what this show is based on, the board game Heroscape. And I could just say a name, and this guy can start talking for about like 10 minutes about just the ins and outs and everything, all the way down to like historical advantages about whatever character or even location on Valhalla. So he's been a great help in delving into this universe, and trying to connect as close as possible with the universe everyone's familiar with, as well as just putting my own take on it. And then, as well as, I have Jason Rutherford here as well, and he has helped me. He's the one that actually originally introduced me to Heroscape, and he also does the voice acting for a few characters on Tales of Valhalla. He voices Nigok Saw. He helped me with the monster, and the Dumatov Guard, and as well as he is the voice of Geert, the crazy shouting Roman soldier, and I play Light Folly too. So it's wonderful when we're able to collaborate together, and there'll probably be a little bit more of that in the coming seasons as well with those characters. So, like I said, tonight we are going over some of these. Basically, we're going to be talking a lot. There's not going to be any work. We're just going to be jabbering away. And so, Jeremy, you've this script was completed just a couple of weeks ago. The two season scripts, and Jeremy's read through it. Jason's read through some of it. And one thing, if you guys want to give a shout out to any of your things that you do, Jeremy, go ahead, you first. Any like Facebook pages or whatever you do online.
Okay. Well, currently working on I call it a writing project because it hasn't created something yet. It's supposed to be a book. We'll see what happens in the future. But it goes by the title of The Bohemian Wars, and it's the same title as for the webpage as well as the Facebook page. I post frequently on there. Currently doing a challenge this month where I try to write 500 words or more a day. So I'm posting a lot more frequently than normal because of that. And so you can catch up on there. So it's The Bohemian Wars. You can find me on DeviantArt. You can find me on Facebook. Just type in the words there in Google, and hopefully Google's going to help me out there, help you find the pages. I'm also the admin of the Heroscape wiki. I adopted the wiki a couple months back, trying to do some major edits there. There's a few pages that's been left in the dark, and trying to bring a little bit more information about what's been left out about the game. And as far as strategy articles and things like that, people can use the units in their builds or army builds in the games. And that's about it. So,
okay.
Time to Jason.
Go ahead, Jason.
All right, so I'm Jason. Ryan actually got into Heroscape because of an old show we used to do called the Tabletop Battlefield.
Mm-hmm.
It was the very first video podcast of tabletop wargaming. I'm pretty sure about that. But we actually don't do that a whole lot anymore, about once a year, because I've actually, a while back, created my own tabletop game franchise called Legends of Caladagia. It's a miniature space combat game, as well as a tabletop game of Planetary Siege. And to go along with all that stuff, I do stream also on twitch.tv over at twitch.tv/rockrobotics, where I do random cosplay work, kind of like what I'm showing off here, and stuff like what I got hiding way back in the back there. You can see me in the tiny little postage stamp of an image I got going on right now.
Yes, he does.
I will try not to be in character the whole time as the angry Roman soldier tonight, but I can do that if you wish.
We don't. Yeah, I don't want my microphone or my headphones bursting. Tonight.
I'd probably be peeking my microphone here, and that wouldn't be good.
Yes. So okay, cool. And so for this episode, like I was explaining a little bit earlier, we're going to be going over some of seasons 2 and 3. Some of the Okay. My technical assistant is telling me we're having some difficulties. Hold on a second. That we can't hear Jason, apparently.
Can't hear me?
No.
Can you guys hear me?
Let me see here. Hold on a second. Try and talk again, Jason. Let me see.
Alright, this is Jason talking again. And, yeah. Hey, there's my character. So, see what you can do about to
yeah,
get
I know.
things.
I just want to see you.
Like, stop.
Wait, hold on a second.
Okay.
Yeah, I understand that. Okay. Okay, we're good. Okay.
We're good?
Okay,
so you actually can hear me.
Did we hear Jason the whole time? Because I need to know whether or not he needs to repeat what he just said. I think you're good.
Okay. Alright.
Apparently my chin's being cut off, and I already know that, and I don't care. So, anyway, okay, where was my train of thought going? It's gone. Okay, so now without giving too much detail over the plot of seasons 2 and 3, which really doesn't matter much because honestly, they're about maybe one person that watches the episode, the shows or whatever. So, not really too big of a deal. But what are your guys' overall thoughts? And Jeremy, we'll start with you. What are your overall thoughts so far with reading seasons 2 and 3 as far as the storyline goes and the characters?
The first word that comes to mind is dynamic. I really like how the characters start developing their roles and they start establishing themselves a place in the timeline. They're given, motivations, and you get to explore a little bit more about those goals. You get to explore a little bit about what those motivations are, what makes them do what they do, what they want to do, and specifically that's really important in this kind of setting because we're talking about a war. We're talking about the conclusion of this war, based on this on the concept that's portrayed in this series, and you got to figure out why they're still there, and these 2 seasons help explain that, give the background information that allows everyone to understand why they're still fighting, even when they could technically just sit back and chill. But there's a reason what they're doing or why they're doing what they're doing. You get to see that in both seasons.
Mm-hmm. Do you have something to tell me or not? Okay. Delays.
Yeah, it's probably lag.
Yeah, it's probably that. Okay, Jason, I know you haven't
Yes.
read the whole thing, but what do you think about it so far?
Well, I agree with Jeremy and the whole idea of how you're fleshing out the motivations. When I was reading through the various lines, I could tell this is Lieutenant Dan talking as Lieutenant Dan, doing a very good job of keeping the characters consistent from what they were in first season. So you can really see how, like I said, you're developing the character a lot because you're keeping them the way they were. You're not trying to really, you didn't screw up and reinvent the characters. You can tell that it's the same guys from the first season, but in a extended adventure as they continue on with the whole elementals and dealing with that whole situation.
Yeah, and they're trying, and it's really like trying to expand more on their characters and really try and flesh them out. Do your best with that because, I mean, there are more characters coming in as well. It's like I think for the first season I had 20 or so voice actors voicing characters, and for seasons 2 and 3 I think I'm going to have triple that amount, at least when I'm looking, if that's how many people it takes to voice each character. And also, at the very beginning of season 2, I decided to go a little bit into the backstory because I know Henderson kind of covered it in season 1, but I wanted to kind of have more voiceover, dramatic Lord of the Rings fashion, kind of. So, Jeremy, I know the historicity of Heroscape. What do you think about that?
Historicity? What is this?
Historicity.
Is that a real word?
I make up stuff as I go.
Well, as far as the backstory is concerned, the whole reason for the series, it highlights a very important part of, the concept of why they're really there. And you're taking this very tragic, I guess you could call it tragic, because it's something that drove them for over 6 years, this war, and then there's just, it just stops there at that motivation, that push. And they're working on trying to figure out why and what they can do now in the meantime, whereas all the more, you could say, individualistic characters, the ones that are very self-centered, are focusing on grabbing power. So they obviously don't want to give power to these individuals, but at the same time they're still trying to find a new way to adapt in this setting that, as far as we understand, they're stuck in now. There's they were promised in the past that they were going to find a way to get them out. That promise isn't there anymore, or at least as far as they can see, that promise isn't there anymore. They don't know if this is going to be their life from now on. So what are they going to do about it? And that's why this is a very important concept. The backstory itself brings out this fact, this I guess you could say nail in the coffin is the best way to describe it. And they have to figure out what to do with it now.
Yeah, it's ultimately, and for the bad guys, it's searching for another power as powerful as the Wellsprings. Otherwise, why fight? Because if there's nothing to fight over, then it's like, okay, we're just gonna stand here and twiddle our thumbs or get what little pieces of power we can. And Jason, what do you think?
About just the way the story's going, or
Yeah, just the very beginning, like the start of it, like the backstory behind where I have like the universe in right now.
I think it's a good path to go down and explore, because obviously Heroscape game got canceled 6 years ago now, about 2010, and the story abruptly ended. So it's definitely something that could have happened in the story had the company continued producing the game. So it is very interesting indeed to explore what happens when the Wellsprings disappear. And you talk a little bit in this series about how that affected some of the major players in the universe and what happened to them.
Mm-hmm.
Not just the characters we've really met so far, some of the actual very named characters, that other named characters from the Heroscape storyline. And it's just very interesting how you've taken what Wizards of the Coast and before that Hasbro created and kind of took it off in your own direction.
Yeah, let's talk about, because we at the end of season 1 we got a little bit of Jandar at the end, and not wanting to give anything away from that episode, but you're going to see mention more of the Valkyrie generals and just the situation that they're in. And the kind of the role they're playing so far in this universe, and let's just say they're gonna have not while I'm talking, Jason.
Just trying to help out.
I know. Now I'm lost. The
role the general's gonna have.
Yeah. The role that they're going to have, and like not getting too much in it, but they're going to have limitations, and it's really going to affect them and their factions, whether how they deal with it when it comes to Utgar and when it comes to Ular, Jandar, and others. And Jeremy knows already that he's going to actually be the voice of Vidar in the upcoming seasons as well. But Jason, I mean, when it comes to the Valkyrie generals, what do you think would be like the best thing for them to do in that situation, in that universe, when it comes to like the Wellsprings disappearing, and then they're not as powerful as they used to be?
I mean, that'd be a good question to actually start with Jeremy first, just because obviously your knowledge of the background of the universe. How much did the Heroscape creators really talk about the generals beyond the fact that they were these powerful warlords who could magically summon these great heroes and villains to the world? Do they really give them motivations per se, and why they're doing what they're doing? Or is it just like Jandar's good, Utgar's the evil bad guy who wants to conquer people?
Well, they took some time, and this is it was different per general, I guess you'd say. They didn't really do much information as far as Uller is concerned, the general that we know who summoned all the elves into Valhalla. Jandar was always, the main voice. He's the one that set them off on their adventure, and he tells them, hey, we need to get this done. I've had a vision. If we don't do this thing, this vision will come to pass, and this whole reason why we're here, it's pointless. And it was at that point when they had that vision, they sent them on their diplomacy mission to visit the other Valkyrie generals, that we find a little bit more information about Einar and Vidar respectively. They talk about Einar being this extremely wealthy individual who's, he's building his palace out of gold, and he's developed a way to take all these cultures and people and races and from various planets and universes, and he just gets them all into this marching order. He establishes on the very, very beginning how disciplined he is, and it's funny because you see the party walking through the Golden Palace, and they see all these marching parties, and they're just like, oh, we're scared. And they walk in the doors, and they immediately depict Einar as this very, very big empire sort of guy, but he's just like, welcome, and everyone's like, what? Like, they don't they're already nervous about how he's able to just this rigorous system that he's created, but at the same time he's still able to present himself as a very, very open individual. You know, because from the very get-go, he's like, "Yep, I want to ally myself to you. Done. This is what I'm going to do for you guys." Vidar, on the other hand, very, very different aesthetic, very different atmosphere. They describe him as, I guess you take the tropes of broody edgelord and you can tack it onto this guy because he's sitting in his castle by himself. He's got maybe a couple of servants doing one or two things around the house, and they bring the party into the manor, and he's just like, "Get out!" Like, he doesn't want them here, and they're like, "Oh, wait, we need to tell you something. We need out alliance." And Vidar's like, "You really want me to join you guys? What are you going to do for me?" And he begins to explain this extensive motivation. He talks about how he tried his best as a leader to protect his people, but his people were too scared about what is going on, and they ran away. They ran out of his region and out of his protective, his control. He had no opportunity to give them anything as a leader. So you got to think about that in his aspect. He had a people that he loved and he cared about, and he wanted to give them this sense of peace in this time, which is craziness with all these new races being introduced. And they ran away from him, so now he's got nothing, and he's upset. That's his initial idea. So those two were given huge amounts of explanation. As far as the last couple generals that we were introduced to, Aquila and Valkyrie, respectively, we don't get much information on them, aside evil motivations for Valkyrie, Aquila joining in on the last minute because she doesn't like the Morrow, but they don't really get to explain the way Vidar and Einar was in the backstory.
Yeah, and Valkyrie isn't even, like, I don't think even part of my universe, because I'm probably never going to get those figures unless hint someone just like gives them to me. But yeah,
Like, so can I ask a question?
Yeah.
Question. So then about Jandar, who has these visions. Was that part of the Wellsprings power, or was that something he had, kind of a prophetic thing, that the ability he could do before the Wellsprings occurred?
It is definitely part of the Wellsprings power. One of the things that defined Valkyrie from the rest of the Kyrie race was the visions they were receiving, and they would receive it literally at the point of drinking the water. They would take in the water, and they would see worlds, and they would see wars, and they would see conflicts, and it freaked them out because they had no idea what they were looking at. And they don't explain the time span from when they became comfortable with it, but as a result of the water of the wellspring, Jandar is able to lead our heroes and give them the guidance they need to prepare themselves for larger scale conflicts that come on in the future, such as the Morrow, which were, focused on heavily for a long time prior to the discontinuation of the series, about how they were infesting the jungles and the lands.
So in Ryan's extension of the Heroscape universe, where the Wellsprings have now been cut off, Jandar's great prophetic ability really doesn't apply anymore, and so he's almost got like this big, his big ability he could do to kind of rally people to say we need to stop this whole thing from happening. He can't do anymore, right?
I would say for the storyline, I mean, and the Wellsprings actually dry up. They're not cut off. They just basically the water dries up and it's nowhere to be found, which I will show in detail coming like the first episode of season 2. But as far as Jandar's abilities go, he has some ability, but at the same time, and you're gonna see this throughout season 2 and 3, to where he has limited ability. He's got a little bit, but very limited when it comes to foresight. And it seems like it happens like popcorn for him at a time, and also, and this is a big reveal, which whoever is actually knows this story, whatever, it'll only affect one person. He doesn't remember everything about the past either, which comes into play because there are some things that he has done that if he would have remembered, he wouldn't have let certain characters do certain things, especially in like seasons beyond season 3. If we ever get beyond season 3, we'll see a lot of that as well. So, so Valkyrie General's done. Let's focus on the Airborne Elite actually, because those are the main guys, the main characters, and who they will be meeting and fighting along the way, and like you guys were saying before, character development, and really showing themselves. Some making good choices, some making bad choices. Jeremy, if you want to reflect on that with the characters that these guys are that are becoming, and some just remain, like Lieutenant Dan just remains always the same, you know.
Well, what I really enjoy about the Airborne Elite, you know, we have these 4 characters, and we're talking about the scenario of being in this sort of war theater, and how each of them are able to cope, I guess you could say, because you know we understand that war is a terrible thing for a lot of people. It affects people, and you have to have a certain mindset to be a soldier. And here's these 4 men, and you know, not getting too much into some of the reveals, these 4 men who are literally thrown into this situation. Not only are they fighting for, you know, what they felt was their country and their duty, they weren't doing that anymore. They're technically at this point fighting for the sake of the universe. And they're just like, oh, let's play cards, you know, like they
get into some silly situations.
Yeah, it's hard. It's a hard thing to take in all at once, but they each do it in very significant ways to each character. And everyone loves Toothpick. I love Toothpick. He's a great guy. You know?
I've heard some shout outs for Lieutenant Dan too. A lot of people love Lieutenant Dan.
Lieutenant Dan's great. I mean, gets under my skin sometimes with some of the things he says. It's like, man, not the time to say that, but hey. But you know, they all have this ability to be able to represent the real person in such a dramatic sense. In the sense, you know, they're able to take what's going on and, you know, still be themselves. They're not like, all right, guys, let's do our job. You know, they don't. People aren't really like that.
Most of the time, they don't want to do anything.
So, people aren't really not going to charge into the face of battle and just, you know, her heroism. Lieutenant Dan might, if you know,
if he can die,
Alexander's
you know.
There, you know,
yeah.
If he can prove a point to Sergeant Drake Alexander and get his name, you know, across. But as far as it goes for them as real people, they don't do that. They are heroes in the real sense. They fight when they're needed, and they fight for what they believe in, and that's what I really enjoy about the 4 of them.
Jason, any thoughts?
Well, yeah, I like Jeremy was talking about how they're kind of coping with the situation, and one of the things that always comes up is Lieutenant Dan himself. He's not actually lieutenant. It's almost like, you know,
it's a nickname,
a rank that he artificially applied to himself, almost as a way of dealing with this new situation. Like, oh no, I have power now. What do I do? Oh, I'm a magic lieutenant somehow. Even though, you know, he routinely reports to a sergeant over the radio. So yeah, so that's just one funny thing I was thinking about.
Yeah, and one thing that I really want to draw upon too in these coming seasons is their humanity, and how, you know, you have these guys that basically their only weapons are their wits, if there are any wits among the 4 of them, and their weapons, which I mean, on researching like the type of weapons that paratroopers used during World War II, you only had a limited amount of ammo, you only had a limited amount of grenades, you only had a limited amount of food and everything. So I try to convey that a little bit in the Season 2 and Season 3 when it comes down to the last battle in Season 3, because basically, spoiler alert, they're going to go on a big quest. And at the start of it, they're already lock and load. They're ready to go. They have, you know, all the supplies that they need. But by the end of Season 3, they're down literally, some of them, to their last bullets, and they have to fight basically bad guys that have enough power to take over all of Valhalla. And it's going to be interesting to see how they do that with the help, you know, of certain friends, but I mean, especially with this is another spoiler alert. Lieutenant Dan will face off against a bad guy at the very end of season 3. Yeah, I love giving spoilers away, or hints of spoilers.
Wait, a spoiler is that a guy's gonna fight a bad guy at the end of season 3? That's a spoiler.
Yeah, Lieutenant Dan will face off one-on-one against somebody.
At least we're not like Blizzard who put everything in code.
But yes, and just the people they meet along the way, because some people just plain don't like them because of the fact that they're not really all that serious about, and there's a, I mean, this is a big spoiler which I'm not going to say, but there is a reason why they are the way they are, and they're not as soldier-like as some people expect them to be. Although I did get a comment when I first released the series early this year from someone who was in the military, and this person was telling me that it seems like every platoon has someone like Toothpick. So they related to the squad very well, which is good. I wanted to convey that because, I mean, I have family who are in the military, and as much as I try to make this as satirical as possible, I also want to give an edge of it to where it's like, thank you to people out there who do put their lives on the line for us every day, and where we're able to do what we're doing right now. Because if not, I mean, there would be no one to protect us. So part of that, there's a lot of reasons why I do this, but one of those reasons is just to show appreciation for people out there like that. So anyway, let's talk about new characters that weren't in season 1 but that will be in season 2 and 3, and there can be a lot more Morrow. Not just Negok Saw, which Jason plays, but there's going to be Kimoshi, there's going to be the Morrow teleporter. Jeremy, what's his name again?
Tobakra.
Yes. And as we get into like season 2 and into season 3, Morrow armies are going to be fighting some good guys, and I'm kind of tied Kimoshi to some of her backstory, because with the help of Jeremy, been able to research that and know a bit about that. But so let's talk about the Morrow a little bit. Jeremy, do you want to?
Can I ask a question for Jeremy first?
Yeah.
What are the Morrow exactly?
Okay. So, in the most basic way I can explain it, the Morrow are self-replicating alien species. They're distinguished by their lack of skin, and that's what makes them exceptionally terrifying, because they are basically described by everyone that encounters them as this skinless individual, and that's not something not a lot. I don't think anyone wants to see, but they were summoned very early on. They're actually one of the first units that are introduced in the Heroscape's game with the first master set that came out. And from then, each individual expansion introduced a new species of Morrow, demonstrating how they were able to adapt and survive in the new setting. They created new versions of themselves in Valhalla to fight for, they just did need to consume and constantly, become a stronger version of themselves. And they serve Utgar in the very beginning. It's heavily implied in many situations that they were doing it for their own reasons and not for the Valkyrie himself. So they became very, very prominent in the second master set, when it was literally everyone versus the Morrow at that point.
Swarm of the Morrow.
So yeah, Swarm of the Morrow. So they were getting to become exceptionally difficult later in the series, prior to its discontinuation, because there was just so many of them there. They started creating hives creating more Morrow. We're looking at just massive invasion at this point. So they're ugly, and they get everywhere. So
they're ugly.
Yeah.
So it was a case of where the evil guy brought this power in that it turns out he couldn't actually control.
Yeah, basically, and it wasn't a matter of them lacking the desire to listen to him. It's just their hardwired senses. It was just to consume the planet, and he didn't realize that by summoning them, what he had brought. He just thought more people to join my army, and they were like, "Ooh, new world to eat." So, and that's what they do now, is constantly spawn and create new versions of themselves to fight.
And Kimoshi.
Yeah, Kimoshi is she's a designated war witch. They actually, it's really interesting. What I like about the character is that she's not an actual initial design of Hasbro, the design team. She was created by a 10-year-old. So that's you take that and you're like, ooh, it's kind of terrifying. But she basically has developed I guess you could say a very very paranormal sense to the Morrow, which was frequently seen as kind of the science fiction faction of Heroscape. She's able to use magic, that she's able to not only use that but influence the minds of others, and she also in her own mind she believes she's achieved immortality, because at least as far as we understand from the information that's released about her, she has died and been reborn 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
So this would be about the 3rd or 4th time that she's been killed and brought back. So she's like, you can't get rid of me.
Mm-hmm.
And she's like, she works in the shadows. She hates the Valkyrie and is doing everything possible to further push the goals of the Morrow on Valhalla.
Yes, and we're going to see some of that in season 2, a lot of that in season 3, when it comes to her. And even though I do kind of have the Morrow as kind of comic relief, and I even, like Jason mentioned it for season 1, that when the Morrow warriors, they sounded like a little too comical, that you imagine them as being something differently, and they sound like and they maybe should have been something more menacing, but that's how I thought they might sound. Although when it comes to the different Morrow squads, because I'm not going to do Morrow, I don't think they're going to do Morrow warriors for season 2 and 3. They're going to be different types of Morrow squads, like the Stingers, the Drudge, the Nagrubs, and whatever else. And I'll be doing like similar but different styles of their voice, just to give them a little bit of individuality as possible as far as those squads go. So what other new characters are going to be in? I would say, like, let's talk about Ular a little bit, because we're going to have some characters in season 2 and 3 that are Mariko and Morsbane, even though everybody's like, and this is kind of a funny spoiler, you have a couple characters that keep on trying to call him Marsbane, and he has to correct them. So what do you think about that, Jeremy and Jason, when it comes to those characters and like their interaction with the main characters and the plot?
Okay. So Ular has always been presented, at least in the very initial part of the series, he was automatically the good guy. You had Jandar and then you had Ular, and they were both, they both came into the scenario hand in hand, ready to help each other out. Family, friends. They're like, hey, you help me, I help you, kind of thing. And what defined Ular as a Valkyrie was that his specific focus on elves. Almost everything he summoned was from the planet Phelan, and very very heavy magic and magic fantasy base, high fantasy base. You can call him Tolkien's biggest fan, because here he is summoning literally everything that was based off of those. And he talks very little, as far as you don't really hear it from his own voice in the series. He talks through his characters and who he's chosen. There's a lot of I guess you could say redemption stories with the characters he's chosen. Savaris, just for backstory's sake. I mean, you're gonna meet Savaris, and you're gonna be like,
yep.
Why is he like this? The thing is, it was the way he is that almost got him killed, which got Ular to intervene and get him out of there. So it's gonna, there's a big reason why he's like that. But
wait, hold on, quick question. So Savaris, the way that Ryan describes in Tales of Valhalla, is actually in line with his Heroscape character.
Yeah, I didn't stray too far from his character because it's just perfect.
He almost.
Oh.
He's very
Yeah.
perfect.
He almost died because of his arrogance. You know, he was like, "I got this, guys. Don't worry about me." Runs in by himself, realizes that it was a very bad idea, and just moments before he dies, gets summoned out. So, you know, the fact that you have all these characters that each of their motivations are, it was almost the end for me, but Olar gave me a second chance. They speak volumes about his compassion and his desire to help bring his planet back to where it was, and what he's willing to do for it. So
Yeah. Jason, any more thoughts?
Well, I guess it's kind of funny just for me, just a moment there to learn about what Severus is like. Because I was reading how you have him in season 2 there, and I was kind of, the whole Tales of Valhalla is a bit of a parody thing going on. I thought that was like, oh, so that's actually just Ryan's little parody take on this character. But no, apparently that's not actually Ryan's parody little take on this character.
It's just how I see him, and you'll see a lot more of him too come season 3 as well, where he's involved in the final battle among others, and he actually has kind of like with the Umbrian archers, is that how you say it?
Aubrian, yeah.
Aubrian, yeah.
Aubrian.
They kind of like pick at actually Severus really doesn't pick at anybody. He just he has a chip on his shoulder for just bad guys, and his fellow comrades can make fun of him all day long, and he's just like, okay, whatever, just let's fight. So yeah, his character wasn't too hard to hash out, because after Jeremy explained it, I'm just like, okay, I'm not going to change much then. He's kind of like the anti-Legolas, basically, and just where he wants to act that way, but he just can't. He's better off on a distance, and people keep on telling him that. There's actually a point to where you have another main other character who will be in the series, Mariko, and she is a ninja who, like Jeremy was saying, has a bad past, and we're going to dive into that too when the seasons progress, where you're going to see some of hints of her backstory. But she's basically going to come up to him and be like, "Guess what, Severus? You're going to do what we tell you not to do," because he's going to be like, "Oh yes, okay, yeah, I'm staying back here. I know it's really hard, but I'm doing so much better now." Mariko's like, "Oh no, you can charge the bad guy. Go ahead and do it." Yes, and then he's just going to be, all gung ho for that. So
is that his version of throwing grenades at everything?
arrows. I can't wait to do. I don't know what the special effect would be for like digital arrows, but I'm gonna figure out, because a lot of arrows are going to be thrown in seasons 2 and 3. It'd be very interesting. I'm happy with the ninjas though, because ninjas are very simple. You just move them quickly, slash, sound effect, boom, done. Because when I'm writing the script, I'm thinking, okay, how is the scene going to go? Because I'm not going to write it if I don't think I can at least somewhat do it. And there are some massive scenes, like big hint, there are, I think in almost every episode, there's some kind of fight scene. Whether it's like a little skirmish or you're seeing a big battle happening, there's going to be like fight scenes. So that's going to take a long time to do. It will be so worth it when it's done. What else? Who else? I think that's enough for new characters right now. Let's talk about locations, because we are going all over the map. And if you just give me 1 second, I'm going to show the Valhalla map to everybody on the screen here. No, not that one. I have another one right here. Boom. There is the map of Valhalla. And you guys, I don't know, you guys probably can't see this, but I'm showing the entire map of Valhalla, and I'm pointing right now at where the Airborne Elite's castle is, which is basically the northern part of Valhalla, below the Thalink Tundra, right on the borders of Jandar's place, which is basically the northwest part. And they're basically going, if people could see my pointer, they're going all the way down to the jungle area, which is way southeast on their quest. And at the end of Season 2, they'll basically be on the Volcaran border. And I don't want to go probably not any farther than that, but let's just say, I mean, we're going all over the map in Seasons 2 and 3. So that's one thing I always wanted I wanted to do, and thank goodness I have the tiles to do them with. I hope we'll see. We'll see. Some of these sets are getting pretty big when I'm designing them, but I think I want to talk a little bit about the locations. Wait, I get back where. Okay, I get back there. All right, because I'm trying to make Valhalla, the land of Valhalla itself, a character in itself. Like when it comes to the wall spires and the part that they play, not only in Seasons 2 and 3, but the part that they're going to end up playing in the seasons beyond if we ever get that far. So, I mean, based off what I've explained to you guys about the wall spires, your thoughts about that, and then I'll try and clear up whatever you guys say.
So, we have these locations. Now, the thing about Valhalla, what's really interesting, you know, we have the Kyrie, they have their established cultures, they have their established locations, their cities, their placements and whatnot. However, it's heavily implied throughout the series and throughout the landscapes that we can build with the sets and put together, that there's a lot of older civilizations that were there prior, and that the Valkyrie, the Kyrie in particular, are kind of like building out from their bones. And so there's a lot of ruins. There's so many old ruins. There's you know, underground passageways full of ruins. There's jungles full of ruins. There's ruins in a volcanic area. I mean, there's so much proof of you know, past cultures. You got these fossils from these older eras, and a lot of what goes on, a lot of the war effort builds off of that. Builds off of the older cultures. So the wall spires in particular pull off of that sense of just something older than the Kyrie themselves. You know, something with extreme power. Should the bad guys get it? Not good. Should the good guys get it? It's okay. Make sure they got to keep protecting it, because at any point in time, you know, these things can be abused, and the whole of Valhalla is threatened. And it builds off of that sense that Heroscape was always had of these older cultures, these ruins being abused, and in particular the relics or the things that could be found in them from these older cultures.
Yeah, and when we're talking about wall spires, they're basically the pieces of wall that Geert is ranting about in the middle of the desert at the end of Season 1. And there are 4 such wall towers that really, I mean, they're part of they're in the landscape, but they really shouldn't be there. And one is in the desert, of course, with Geert and Light Folly, and there's one in a jungle, one in the Volcaran and forest border, and there's also one up in the tundra. And during Seasons 2 and 3, we're at least going to get a glimpse of all 4 of them. And one thing that I'm keeping kind of under wraps is that the characters and the audience isn't going to know everything about these wall spires and the power that they possess. Like you were saying, Jeremy, if bad guys use them, it could lead to something bad. If good guys use them, it could actually lead to something bad as well. Which, if we go beyond Season 3, we'll see some of that. I'm kind of like giving spoilers for seasons that aren't even written yet, but that's just how I think. So yeah, that part, and there will be hopefully a lot more ruins. I'm still trying to think of like what other is going to look like that territory, because I was kind of thinking kind of like Rivendell, or what's the name of the other place? Lothlorien. But there's not really anything Heroscape like original Heroscape tile base that's like that, but I'll do as best as I can. But let's talk about the jungle and the Valkyrian wasteland itself, because if you guys have read into the script, there is mention that it's like the terrain has been changed a little bit in the process of years, and Jeremy, there isn't much known about the jungle right before the game discontinued. Is that right?
As far as we know, the only thing that was released was everything in Swarm of Tomorrow. So the different locations that they bring out, and most of the time it was kind of just in passing as the party was going through and trying to get to that wellspring that they were searching for. So as far as a detailed, kind of what this is, we didn't really get the chance to get that information prior to discontinuation. But just kind of like snippets here and there, lots of in reading that you would have to go through to get like a better understanding of what Tikala really is and what the entire jungle landscape is itself.
Yeah, and we'll be there a little bit, and especially primarily in season 2, we'll be there, and where we'll have basically the climax of season 2 happening like at that moment, and I'll transition just into like another, like one of the last topics we're going to talk about is just hidden agendas, and mostly agendas by the bad guys, because we have a few bad guys who are like, you see them a little bit in season 1, more prevalent in season 2, and new ones like Kimashi in season 2 and 3, and the agendas of Estavara, of Kurok himself, as well as the Morrow, but even like you have like the Vidar faction, like I said, Jeremy's going to be voicing Vidar, and his people are going to be involved, and Einar, even though I don't know if Einar is going to be around, but definitely his people will be around, and so I mean they'll each have their own separate agendas. I think, matter of fact, I think only Ular and Jandar are really kind of like, okay, we're still buddies, you know. But let's talk a little bit about that. Kind of like almost like goofiness and political infighting, and like, okay, let's not trample on each other's toes type thing, but we'll kill you if you trounce too far, type of thing within the storyline for these seasons. Thoughts, Jeremy?
Well, definitely the first thing that comes to mind is Kurok's intentions, and how he's definitely an individual who he's not against making a deal to get what he wants, but he's definitely not a person to make a deal with, if that makes sense. Because if at any point in time his motivations or what he's planning on doing supersedes what the deal he's made, he's going to. It's not. He doesn't mind. He doesn't have that sense of, I guess you could say, integrity that would definitely help a person feel more comfortable making a deal with someone. He gives off the impression that, hey, I'll help you. Just give me this one thing and I'll help you. And then as soon as you turn around, here he is, betraying you. And it's highlighted many times throughout the 2 seasons that are coming, that Kurok is very, very, very individualistic, but he's doing it for what he believes is right, and that's the most important thing. Is knowing when a villain feels like he's doing what he's doing is actually the right thing to his purpose. I mean, he's a hobgoblin, so he's got different standards than he would be other than a human, and he was basically what he turns into is what he was built for. It's why he was born, and that's why he is the way he is. But yeah, it's funny how he kind of comes across season 1 as just a humble servant, just doing someone's bidding. But at the same time, he does have his own agenda, and even though it's like
stealing a line from Lieutenant Dan that always, like, anytime he gets across Kuruk, he always says he talks too much because besides Moorsbane, he does. He talks quite a bit, but I kind of wanted to convey that to the audience, to be kind of annoyed at Kuruk because of the fact he is talking too long. Just do what you want to do, okay? Come on, just give us some action, please. And that's what the Airborne Elite sometimes do. Even though he does, Kuruk does end up. It's funny how there's like interlocking patterns within these characters and within the storyline. Because I mean, Kuruk messes up one of the Airborne Elite's minds a little bit when he first encounters them. And that kind of takes us through a season to where there's a little bit of conflict, and you get to see how this character ends up developing, and then another character kind of leading towards a path which he shouldn't go down in. And I know I'm being very vague, but I don't want to give that part away.
Kuruk really plays up that stereotypical kind of James Bond villain, where it's like, I'm going to tell you my secret plan before I kill you, kind of a thing. It's that sense of arrogance that he has, that he's so pride and prideful what he does. He wants you to know what he did to you, or what he's going to do to you, or why he did it before he actually goes ahead and just kills you. You know,
he's very aristocratic. He's very elitist. Thinking he's higher than anybody, but he doesn't mind because he does like try and sway people to come on his side. Those he knows he thinks he can influence, and yeah, there is some of that too. And then in the background you have like Kimoshi, who's got her own agenda, as well as Estavara, who like is unknown to really everybody. And I love the character of Estavara just because she is like an evil witch queen in her own right, but at the same time she's very small yet powerful, yet very behind the scenes, yet kind of like in control of everything, kind of like an ultra Kimoshi in a way. And I mean, I remember reading, and Jeremy, you could probably talk a little bit more about this. When it comes to Estavara, she's actually one who resurrected the new evil faction, even though I'm not bringing them to light, at least not in the future.
As far as Estavara goes, now she comes from a race that's very, very iconic to Dungeons and Dragons and Wizards of the Coast in particular. So there's a lot. As far as you're taking Heroscape, which has its snippets and its details that you gotta read a little bit deep into to get the idea. Estavara has almost, you could say, too much information, about 5 editions worth of information about the Drow and what they do and why they do what they do.
And I have not read a page of it.
And that's the thing. Like the most important aspect is to know that they work in the shadows, like the way Estavara does, and that they're not particularly inclined to do the obvious evil thing, because they're portrayed as evil beings, but at the same time they have a very strict system. The Dritz novels give it the opportunity for the reader to get into the minds of the Drow a little bit more, and they explain them with they got this very extensive religion, they got this very extensive political system. So we can imagine Estavara is coming out of this, and she's being thrust into this new setting. She's not going to. She's going to maintain her sense of honor, and she's going to do those things that will further her cause. But at the same time, it's not going to be seen as, oh, that, okay, didn't really think you'd do that kind of thing. But as long as it helps her out in the long run, she'll do it. Mm-hmm. And it plays a lot with the way she would have been brought up, based on the Drow culture as a whole. So it's really interesting how she's depicted in the series of what she does, the actions she's taken, without spoiling too much. How she does what she does. It explains a lot, brings a lot out of her upbringing as a Drow arachnomancer. So.
Yeah, and there's there are plans of hers that like she's like just starting the groundwork for in like these first few seasons that really, according to the storyline that I have in the future, if we do get to the future, that won't come to fruition until like seasons like 7, 8, or 9. So yet there's still like so much more going on, and really for like the good guys, the quote unquote good guys in this series, and the main protagonists, they're just dealing with whatever is in front of them at the moment. They have pretty much no idea that there could be something else in the background so twisted, and they wouldn't be able to unravel it even if they tried. Even though there is some guesswork. I mean, at the end of season 3, you have like higher ups like Jandar or Raylan that realize, oh, there might be someone who's orchestrating something in the background, but they have no idea yet, and probably won't get an idea for a long time to come. So now, before because we're about to sign off, but before we do, I want you guys to discuss something about that you probably know a bit about, which is your characters in Tales of Valhalla. Now that you've read the scripts for season 2 and 3, what do you think you're going to bring to the stage, so to speak, when it comes to the character development within these characters and what they go through? Jason in particular, because like when it comes to Geert, his character is going to grow a little bit, and not so much, but he's basically, with him being Geert, me being Light Folly, our characters are going to be taken for a ride, basically. And how does that affect your voice acting? And then Jeremy, you just coming on, I know for Vidar it's not that big of a moment, but what are you going to bring to the page, and what are you going to suggest when it comes to like future seasons if we get that far? So Jeremy, you go ahead, and Jason, you can follow.
Okay, so bringing back the story of Vidar, how his people ran off, and he was no longer considered a leader to the people he tried so desperately to protect. The fact that the way he's introduced in season 3, he's got something's changed, and he's more animated about it, is what I can draw from that when he's introduced, he's finally given the opportunity to prove, I guess you could say, how much he really cares about Valhalla, and how people they always get this idea that he's a bad guy. People have seen the characters he's chosen in his armies, and they like robots. Like they're what are you trying to do? Some like science sci-fi takeover? Like they always have given him this sense. I guess it plays a lot with the color of his standard gray. They give him this very really deep gray area. But the way he's introduced in season 3, he's like, let me prove to you I'm actually here to do the right thing. And then yeah, that's the biggest thing I can get out of it.
Yeah,
that animation.
And that's a good take, because actually I wasn't even thinking that to begin with, because yeah, he does help, and he tries to send his guys out to help, be a good, but it's for his own interests. It's actually, and we'll have to talk more about that later for future developments. But I know my take for him was that he's got an agenda. There's a reason why he's doing things, even though he's not, say, as evil as some of these guys. He knows that there are things that need to get done, and he and his faction can't do it by themselves. So sooner or later they need to make allies, albeit it'd be very weak alliances, but still alliances just the same. And so we'll have to talk more about that later. But Jason, how about you? Because you have a few characters. You got Nigak Sa, you've got Geert, and whatever monsters we have showing up. So what are you bringing to the table, man?
So I was actually just scanning through season 3 here, the parts with Gurnt. I won't actually talk a whole lot about what you decided to do with him, but I'll talk about the discussion that I had with Ryan about at the end of season 1 before he wrote season 2 or 3 what he was thinking of doing. Because the little bit we know of Gurnt is that he's obviously this angry to some extent, very ranty type character. That's all we really know about him. He does seem to bully around a little bit.
And these characters, they are from the Einar faction and the Roman soldiers. I just want to put that out there. Yeah.
So and I think Ryan was having you're having a bit of a difficulty deciding where should I go with Gurnt, because the kind of character we're introduced to could really go two different ways. He could be someone who really does have a serious problem with authority, and just basically, if you try to approach him in some kind of overwhelming, overbearing, I'm your superior, do this kind of a way, he'll get really angry. But at the same time, people like him could also become very timid and very shy in front of people of authority. And the reality is, this whole rebellious, angry thing that he does is really just kind of a side thing he'll do when he thinks he's in authority. He will still go along with whoever's pushing him around. And I think that was the discussion I had with Ryan. You could really go either way with this character depending on what you think he can do. And I'm reading season 3 here, and he obviously chose one of those two ways. And I think it'll be fun for me to try to be that guy, because it's not too hard for me to kind of be this arrogant, jerky, ranty kind of person. I know how to do that from personal experience, to be honest with you.
Which is why you got the characters.
Yes. I guess as for Nico Sa, I mean, he's really almost just like a voice that I kind of changed the expression and to reflect what his emotion is. We don't understand what he's saying. Obviously, the Morrow know what he's saying, because there's a part here in season 2 where he's talking with a Morrow speaking English, and he's off doing this. This weird voice thing I do. So obviously, it's sort of like that C-3PO R2-D2 kind of a thing, where you don't really know what R2-D2 is saying. He just, based on how C-3PO is reacting to him, you can figure out what's going on. So it's for him, it is really just me choosing the proper tone of voice and altering whether he sounds more angry, whether it's more softer, whether it's more of I have a little bit of a question inflection going on, things like that. And finally, for the monsters, well, I'm not sure which ones you're going to have me try to voice this time, but it's fun just to make weird random sounds to see what sounds good and what doesn't.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot. I actually have someone who will probably play all the Solbergs, because he's got
the robot guys?
Yeah, because he's got a special sound machine that can basically digitalize his voice and mechanicalize it. So it's I'm very cheap, since this is a $0 budget production. I'll take anything anybody can offer. So I'm just okay, great, yeah, you're in. But yeah, it's and there will be a lot, especially in the opening of season 2, there are gonna be some, like I said, backstory battle scenes, and so there's going to be a lot of different characters that will need to be voiced as far as fight voices. I mean, their names probably won't even be on the list for credits, besides for the people who do them, but it's just, we're going to need a couple dozen or so people just for those opening fight scenes alone, just to get their different voices and different voice inflections for whatever battle is happening on, because you're going to see dragons against Mara. You're going to see Vidar's Solbergs against a Mara army. You're going to see the knights against goblins. It's going to be intense. Thank goodness, only going to be 5 to 10 seconds at a time, so it will be easier to do stop motion for so many characters at that moment. It's not going to be very lengthy, but it's still going to be intense. So yes. Anyway, I guess we can wrap this up then, because it's getting close to 8 o'clock, and we could talk about this all night if we wanted to, but I know you guys don't want to. So we will wrap up quickly, and let's see. I'm just going to I'm a Twitch virgin, let's put it that way. Because I'm going to play another video for anybody who might be watching, if anybody is left watching. I have no idea if anybody's watching. I'm not even going to look. But if anybody's watching, I'm going to close out by doing another 5-minute countdown video, which will be a different video than what we saw first. It'll be the Morrow up against the Dumatef Guard, which you can see is Season 1-2, Tales of Valhalla on YouTube. Go watch the first season. Get caught up on what is happening in this universe, and because it's going to be another how many years before Season 2 comes out, because production is going to take so long. Anyway.
What is your plan? I guess, when are you shooting for Season 2 right now? Do you have a certain time frame?
Oh, I mean, with all my medical issues and the fact that, I mean, I've been delayed, because I wanted to finish the scripts springtime, like beginning of spring. So we're close to the end of summer, and I just got the scripts finished. So it could be another 2 years before we see anything. But I've mentioned this before. I am going to do little mini episodes starting probably in December. I'll release one to where there'll be character introductions. And it's just going to be a nice little satire way of introducing each individual character in the universe. And I can go on with that forever because there's tons of characters to introduce. So there will be content, whether it's like this type of thing, talking, or production, or something. My head will be here somewhere. So, so anyway, yeah, thank you for the question, Jason. And I thank you guys for coming live on Twitch with me. Hopefully we'll be able to do this again sometime soon, especially with you, Jeremy, because you are just the plethora of information, and it's just so fun to hear. I could just listen to you all day just talking about this stuff. So, and I thank you, Jason, for showing up, and we'll hope to see you. Hopefully be able to bring you back to maybe when we're starting to voice act in seasons 2 and 3, and we know more about these characters and what we're doing with them. I plan to get some more voice actors on here too, probably in the future as well. So thank you guys so much, and with that I will start the video. Thank you everybody for watching, whether you're watching us. Yeah, go ahead and wave goodbye, guys. I can get Jason's face here. If you guys are watching live, or if you're just watching a recording, I thank you guys so much for watching, and we will see all of you next time. Bye.
This is finally it, boys! The time has come for me to die in a blaze of glory!
Try to keep Lieutenant Dan from being killed. We do not want to be in a situation like we were last time this kind of thing happened.
Oh my yes, I remember he could not see it for 2 weeks.
Grenades now, sir.
Not yet, Toothpick. First we find that glyph. It's around here somewhere. Maybe its power can aid us in fighting this monster. Gip, you send out that radio signal for backup and then join me in distracting the monster. Let's go.
Henderson! Take point!
Okay, let me get this part on. Let me fork these down just a second. Oh man, we're just okay. That no, that's not good. That's not good at all. Okay. Okay, I'm coming. Just a minute.
Maybe it's over the bridge. Let's go over the bridge. Okay. Calm down. Calm down. It's just a bridge. Oh! Oh! Maybe it's over here.
Alright, the signal is sent. Let me go. Where's my gun? Alright. Hey guys, I'm on my way. Hold on. Hey guys. Hey. Okay, here's the monster. Come here and eat this grenade. Alright, I got the grenade. Okay, where'd that grenade? Pull the pin, throw.
Toothpick, did you find that glyph yet?
Wait, is that it? That's it! I found a glyph. Left of speed. Why isn't it working? Work. I can feel the wind rushing through my nostrils!
Help us out then!
Henderson? I'm coming, sir.
It's about time that monster took a bath. Whew, that thing was smelly.
And that's what you get for messing with me!
Oh dear. That one seems like a big daisy doofer. Well guys, it is a good thing we were given such an easy mission, right? Right? Oh my. I did not even use one of my grenades.
Toothpick, not here.
No! Stop! Not here!
Wait.
No! Toothpick!